get a little notification that I'm recording. If you don't want to have your camera on, that is fine. You can mute yourself, that is fine. For Drawing on Discovery, we are exploring the fundamentals of art materials. Shaherzad Bernard is one of our artists in residence and is a incredibly talented artist, just coming back from a residency in London. I think there's a presentation first, and then we have, is that right? You'll do a presentation first?
All right, sounds good. So sorry, but Zoom has fully changed its format. And where is the share screen? I just found it. I've been doing art for most of my life. So I started in middle school and have not stopped. I got my master's degree in 2022, and currently I'm working as an exhibiting artist. I also do art residencies, and I do all kinds of things to here are some of the classes that I used to teach. This is just a sample of how I tend to work. So the way that I teach my classes is generally with an outline and then throwing whatever at the wall until it sticks. So a lot of my classes are extremely draw forward, very there's theory, of course, but it's mostly you're going to get this if sorry, why am I forgetting things? Let's see real quick. Jean, do you think you'd be able to it's me talking and then dead silence, and I want to avoid that. This is going to be fun. Always make contact with your subject. Memory, imagination, your sense of touch, taste, smell are all vital to an art practice. And by that, I mean, we do record our realities using photographs, but in terms of a tool for art making, all right. Also, this class is a lot smaller, so very much just jump in wherever. If you guys have any questions, or if you think there's something that I need to explain more, do so, because it will benefit. So when I also think about the skeleton, it's comprised of several very specific shapes. So we've got our spine, which holds everything together. And then we've got some of the dorsal elements, such as the pelvic structure, which keeps our legs attached and able to hinge and move. Little things that connect one thing to the next thing. I'm really only trying to carry you guys through just how it feels to capture the movement of a person when you're drawing them. That's what we're going to go through. We're going to go from skull. All right. So yeah, in terms of breaking down the points, I like to think about it as figure mapping, but you can kind of follow what is connecting to the floor and how the rest of the body is supporting itself through that movement. Okay. In the last class that I did, I spent a lot of time talking about the difference between points and lines when we're going through a still life. So here's where we add armature points to these like points and lines, and we're starting to develop the contour or the shape of the figure. And then we're going to look at these figures, and the corresponding red points are the points of the armature. So you go from the top of the head, the spine. There can be thousands of points in the figure. It's really wherever your eye starts and stops. This is a body. We're not necessarily going to be focusing on the features of the figure. We're not going to be working on the fingers or the individual toes or an eye or a nose or a mouth, unless you guys are a bit more seasoned when you're working and that's just where you want to develop. But my primary goal is to make sure that you're able to capture movement just by observation. The way that well, actually, let me not get ahead of myself. So the next one is primary points. These are the skeletal joints. So I chose primary points for the second figure to the left. All right, so this is another concept I'm going to be working with, is the Intercross Contour. So the Intercross is a drawing system that simplifies any object to be drawn in its most essential form through a network of point relationships. That's pretty much what I've been talking about the whole time. Intercross Contour is also the 4 initial points. So the highest point, the lowest point, the furthest point left and the furthest point right are determined and set down on the paper. If you can see my icon or like the video, I have my water bottle in my hand. So this is super simple because it's pretty cylindrical, especially if I close it. And if I put this up here or even here, like here, 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 like I'm just using my eye. Additional points are added when we refer back to the initial 4. So you can keep adding more points. So sharpened graphite or charcoal pencil, ruler, any hard edge will do. No, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video real quick.
Hello everyone. So in this video,
Okay,
I want to
give this 1 second. I want to see if we can get this any louder. Can you guys hear the music that's already there or the? Okay, I'm gonna set this back to the beginning.
Each area within the figure so I can create the shapes that create the body. Just what is in front of me to create the points. This one was a little bit more complicated, so I'm having to do a bit more searching. It's a bit slower to find each point and how those connect to the body, but ultimately I will end up with a highest point, a lowest point, a furthest left, and a furthest right. And this one, it goes from head. So the things that I look for when I'm starting these things are how do these points flow?
I don't know if you guys could hear it. For me, it was extremely quiet, but I heard a little bit.
What sport do you play?
Everything. Basketball, snowboard.
Is women in that category too?
Cool. No.
Oh, I did so toxic girl content.
There you go.
That's, you know, mystery is solved. But yeah, we can go ahead and get started into our first exercise for today. So did everybody understand what was happening in that video?
Joan, hi Joan. Joan was here last time. Nice to see you.
I'm fast with my lesson and I usually get questions in the middle of it. So then I slow down and I'm able to answer. And I want to give you guys a little bit of, I know that this is a huge topic. Figure drawing is a lot for everyone because I teach this in all types of like levels of where people are at. But usually in my other classes, I have them for 3 months and I have you guys to teach for about 30-40 minutes before we're just drawing. But again, to start, we're just going to do single minute intervals of figure drawing. So if you guys remember that pose that popped up on my screen, only going to hang out with that pose for about a minute before we move on to the next one. So all you're going to be doing is finding the points. So the highest point, the lowest point, the furthest left, and the furthest. Okay. I love that this video is like test your like FOI rate. Like, what is this? Where all of these points of interest are in the body. And I don't want you to think about the figure as a whole. This is pretty close to drawing stick figures. If you guys remember this slide. Yeah, we're just trying new things, guys. I'm gonna try doing the lo-fi hip hop beats to study to, just so it's like everybody's still doing well. Actually, I'm gonna skip this one. Also, bless these models being online because sometimes it's very difficult to do the gesture drawings in person when models are moving. So you guys are getting a huge advantage. All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next one. Actually, while I've just said that you can find these resources wherever you are, this is fully an online resource where just a couple specifications of what I wanted them to be showing. So I clicked clothed models. You can also access like nude models on this website. And they allow you to pick which gender. And you see the web page at the top. It's called Line of Action. And yeah, you can see a little bit of what I'm talking about in here as well. So we're just defining shapes. We're creating different individual features, just focus on the general aura of what we're working on. All right, a grid, not necessarily. If you want, because they're longer words, you can just work on another sheet of paper per drawing. So that way you have more, like, just more surface area to work with. I'm gonna move on to the next figure. So I'm going to have a 5-minute timer for each one of these, and those are starting now. So that'll look a lot more like those drawings that I was doing in my sketchbook in the first like 30 seconds. So I wouldn't spend too long on the points, just like the initial laying down of them. All right, we're coming into our last minute. So if there's any other details that you're wanting to capture, do so now. Spend a little bit less time on this one. So it'll be maybe around 4 minutes. Remember, always start with those points. Don't jump straight into shapes. And I'm just looking at time, and we're only going to do one more of these, one more of the 5 minutes, and then we're going to move on into our much longer contour drawing. That one will be about,
You know,
Yeah,
I can't get them up.
I can also send like that YouTube video that I did, which also kind of summarizes it. I can also post the slide document. Way everybody who is here has access to it. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It's honestly just fun. It's like a fun process, but I hope this was a great start to your day. I don't know if you wanted to share
Jackie.
too.
That's my last, the
I see.
last one, but I couldn't get the head at all.
Okay. I mean, let me see if I can turn off the blur effects. I developed the course to be taken online. If I do, I can always hand it off to Jean, and it'll be on my
Yes.
website.
I'm gonna steal that line. It's my thing.
I think in terms of timing, from the student point of view, an hour and a half is probably enough, because you're concentrating most of that time, and most of us, once we retire, don't.
I'm glad that this is a fun course. I always enjoy structuring them. I enjoy teaching them, and I enjoy sharing it and seeing faces that I saw in other courses. So yeah.
A good thing is, now you've developed a new skill that you can practice. Hopefully this, you can go back to it, and you'll be able to reach out to Shaherzad. Well,
When you send your stuff to Jean, could you put any references or anything? So yeah, because in the beginning, I really wasn't quite sure what I was doing, so I'd like to read a bit behind it. Yeah, that would be great.
I can make sure that you guys have access to that. And then just my slideshow. At the end of my slideshow, I always cut it off too soon, but I have my website and just like how to reach me in general. So there's plenty.
we will see you again soon. Leslie, so glad you made it, and Camille.